Hey, kia ora koutou whānau, ki te pihi a koe. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? G'day, Chewy.
Hello. How are we doing tonight?
Good. My cameras are just telling me that there's someone being spotted at the kitchen door. Ooh.
Well, it's not you because you're there, and it's not me because I'm here.
And it's not my two daughters because I can see them through there.
That rules both of us out.
Well, and the dog anyway. And the dog's in here with me. Crumbs, we're narrowing down the numbers.
Murderers.
How's life? What's going on? How's things?
Oh, end of my working week. One step closer to. Oh my God! I crashed out again.
Well, let's see if the audio goes with him. Whānau. Kia ora whānau. Hello. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Hopefully, Chewy has not done the unthinkable and taken our audio with us. Hope you're all good. Hope you've all had a good day and you're looking forward to, well, I guess it's not the weekend yet, it's Thursday night, but kind of, as Chewy says, it's his first day off tomorrow and this is the last show tonight, so it always kind of feels like the start of the weekend to me. Let's have a look at something which I want to say thanks for, and that is we made a bit of a palaver last night that it'd be nice to get to 100 paid patrons by Christmas, and it happened last night. We got to it. Look at that. Now it's a nice problem to have, but you guys are giving me a crazy amount of issue trying to fit all the names into this billboard at the moment. And actually, there's so many new people on here. I'm probably going to miss somebody out. I'll try my best not to. But Peter Sim signed up yesterday. Chris Rowley, I think, did. Paul Christensen. Did Michael Tilliard as well? Maybe not. But Calfrin signed up. Kia ora 001 signed up. Maybe David Pinfold. Maybe Hannah Pratt as well. Maybe Karen Griffin. Maybe Reese Parton signed up. Yeah, lots of you. Lots and lots and lots and lots of people. So it was very, very nice to have you guys come on board and jump in there. And we really do appreciate it. I mean, from the looks of things, we're going to need to buy Chewy a new computer. So maybe we need to sort that out. Goodness gracious me. Yeah, but lovely thing. We appreciate you guys, those who are watching and those who are generously giving via the old international medium of Patreon, or those of you who have bought merch and the merch arrived today. And other than one or two people, and one of those people, and I don't mean to call you out, but you haven't left an email for me to get in contact with you, and that's Alan. I'll just say Alan from Naru Awahia. You'll know who you are. Alan from Naru Awahia. You've sent me an order form for a T-shirt, and you have not given me an address to send it to. So Alan from Naru Awahia, it would be good to hear from you via the email. And if anyone knows Alan at Naru Awahia, then you could also let him know he needs to email me, because he hasn't given us an email address, so I can't email him. And his address is not correct, so I can't send it out. So it's kind of a double hit, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And as for anything else, there's a few people around Dunedin. I'll be doing some drop-offs till tomorrow. Might take the dog with me and go for a run at the beach. Yeah. So I'm pretty confident. Well, here he comes, Mr. Take the audio away. Here he comes. Yeah, so now everyone can't hear us, Shirley, because you took the audio away. I don't know if you did.
Sorry.
But it probably means I should play a little groove music in the background to make sure that we're off and running properly. Maybe we should, just for safety. So yeah, people of Dunedin, I might catch up with you guys tomorrow. If you've ordered merch, I'll do a bit of a delivery run. I think everybody else bar my friend from Naru Awahia have been put on the courier for a pickup first thing in the morning. So I'm pretty confident that you should see them by Christmas Day. I mean, Here comes a little bit of music, by the way. I just took its time to let all the system work out, and we just need to know from you guys if the music's here. We've kind of worked it out that it's probably is this a problem within the streaming software and not with our equipment. And so we've got no control over the streaming software. So if it has a glitch, we can't really do much about it. Yep, I'm glad you can hear me, but you can also hear the music. Brother Monk says it is grooving, so that's good. Sounds like that's working. Very good. So yeah, Chewy, I was just saying that we crossed that 100 mark for our patrons last night. It was lovely.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that the merch has pretty much arrived, apart from our friend Alan in Naruawahia, who we need to hear from if to get it out, because he hasn't sent us an email address. As for tonight's show, I'm actually really looking forward to tonight's show. I'm looking forward to opening up Discord in the last kind of third of the show, because we haven't done it for a couple of weeks, and probably next week there's only one more to go. Oh, next week. Kieran McAnulty is going to be joining us on Monday night. So there we go. We've got
Look, I tell you what, when you choose to replace me, Pat, you choose to bring in the big guns.
Yeah, well, he'll just come along for a bit of a chat. So Kieran's going to be here on Monday night. I've approached a couple of other people. I've sent an email to Jack Tame. I actually don't expect Jack to get it because I think he's finished with Q&A, which means he's basically on holiday now. So I don't expect we'll hear from him. I don't know if we'll hear from Chloe or not, but there's a couple of others I'm going to line up as well. And we'll try and get some of our favorites on board from some of the suggestions you guys have made as well. Yeah, so that's on Monday. So I'm looking forward to tonight's show, I was going to say, Chewy, because Kieran is on it with us again. He knows national policy and delivery times of national policy better than the Bish does. So that's quite an interesting little observation. Stephen Colbert. Now, we don't often do what I notice sometimes with our YouTube clips is when we talk about international news, even if real serious international news like Gaza, for our audience, it doesn't get as much viewership as the New Zealand news, and that sort of kind of makes sense. But and we don't avoid international news because of that, but we don't do it as much. So I'm going to have a look at a bit of a light-hearted story tonight, where Stephen Colbert has trolled Tucker Carlson, and he's done it in a very, very good way. Bit of light-heartedness around the world. It is kind of news because Tucker Carlson has announced his own network, and so we'll have a look at that. You're going to say something, sir?
Okay, now I get it. Now I understand the first comment we had in the chat a full hour before we started the show. Yep. I wasn't understanding the link.
Yep.
You guys are clearly scrapping the bottom of the barrel. You think Tucker cares about some controlled woke media clown? You guys are weak. Thanks,
well,
NZ, for your
It's true. It's true. We do scrape the bottom of the barrel, but that's more a reflection on us.
No. We don't scrap the bottom of the barrel.
No, it's true.
The bottom of the barrel is really important to us. We'll
stays in place.
We don't scrap it.
No, that's true.
We won't scrap it.
But we are bottom feeders, 100%. Happy to take that label. So yeah, I guess we do. And also, I've got a little bit of a thing to show you tonight. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have already seen it. But I mean, all politicians use talking points, but the right, especially the right in America, the right is particularly bad with their talking points to not be able to deliver them sounding authentic. And I'll show you an example of that tonight based on a couple of New Zealand politicians. It's got to do with the ferries, which we're also going to talk about. And not ironically, Chewy, you called it last night by saying secondhand ferries, and they are literally talking today about buying secondhand ferries. But the other thing, I'll show you a clip from TV3. Here's some new news. So Kiwi Rail are saying they may still have to buy the ferries because there's a contract and then sell them.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And everyone's saying it's not the cost of the ferries, it's the cost of the terminals and all that kind of stuff. But they did say might, right? So let's not jump up and down too much yet. But they did say they might have to buy the ferries that the national government's just said we're not going to be able to use and we're not going to fund, and then sell them straight away. So straight away, if they buy them, they then lose 20% because they're secondhand. It's like driving a brand new car off a car lot, isn't it? They're not going to get the same money for them. So unless in the time it took for them to... Yeah, unless it took in the time of, sometimes I think when Teslas first come out, you can typically sell them for more than the price because there's such a long wait time, unless there's something like that. It could be, I don't know, but just that idea seems a tad ridiculous to me. So, let's start. Let's just start, shall we? Shall we just start? Let's just start. Okay. And this is where we get to see if we're working properly or not tonight. TVNZ Breakfast this morning. It's a new panel. I think it's like it feels to me like the show Farmer Wants a Wife, but it feels like the gay version of it, that Farmer Wants a Husband. And that's what I see when I look at this picture. Farmer Wants a Husband. That's how it kind of comes across to me. It's an awkward dating moment between a farmer and his prospective male partner. Now, the Bish has just been asked, are you going to get onto things now? Are you going to rip into things? Are you going to, could do what Kieran said? And, because Kieran's just gone, well, it's these guys' chance now. They can get into it and have a crack, and they're going to go down the line and they're going to put some of their ideas in place. And then the host has said, oh, so is that it? You're up for the challenge, she says. And we get that delightful Bishop laugh, obviously, because it always comes in when he doesn't, not quite sure what to say. And it went like this. But the part of it I'm playing for you about this, Chewy, the bit that you're going to love, is when Kieran tells Bishop what the National Party has already announced, and the Bish doesn't seem to know. That's a beautiful part about this. Here we go.
Chris, the challenge has been laid down. Are you going to crack into it?
No, I think Kieran's actually pretty accurate on that one. I mean, these are backward-looking numbers, obviously, and I'm not going to make a projection. I haven't had a heads up on them. They're confidential numbers. So, look, they are what they are. But the key point is what we do going forward, and we've got a real plan to grow the economy and get more jobs and incomes into this place. And we'll get on with that, and we'll put a bunch of ideas forward, which Kieran will criticise on the show. And over the next year or so, we're going to have a few Barneys on the show.
I get the feeling that Chris Bishop thinks that this is a bit matey. It's a bit of a game. Like, we're going to have it'll be a bit of rough and tumble, a bit of fun around, But I get the sense that Kieran doesn't quite feel the same. That Bish thinks that this is going to be all a bit of blokey funness and rah-rah, shouty and that. But in his very monotone way, my sense is Kieran doesn't quite see this panel opportunity to speak New Zealand as quite the same as what it feels like Bishop sees it as.
Sure, it'll be good. But for now, we'll look at those numbers when they come out, and Parliament will finish up in the next week or so, and we'll go into Christmas.
Just for we haven't got much time left.
Just so they know, we only criticise bad ideas. We don't just criticise for the sake of it.
Well, thank you for clarifying, Kieran. Yeah,
no worries.
Just putting the public's faith back in all of our politicians across the spectrum there. Chris, right. You've only got a week to go. When's this mini budget coming out? What day?
Good question.
We have to wait and see. Soon, before Christmas, I can tell you that.
Oh, that's good. I was hoping we might have a holiday soon.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Grant Robinson used to do the old dance of the Seven Veils about things, but you'll see it soon. And, Parliament hasn't got many sitting days left, actually. And so, yeah, not far to go.
Isn't it coming out on the 20th?
Yep, you have to wait and see.
It's coming out on the 20th, guys.
There you go. He knows more about it than I do.
Thank you. Finally, someone just comes up with the answer that you want when you ask a question. Isn't that what we all want now, politicians? I'll give you one more chance.
There you go. So there you go. So now we know, thanks to Kieran McAnulty, is the mini budget's going to be released on the 20th. Now, I don't know, maybe Bish was playing the game that I'm not going to release it yet, or maybe he genuinely didn't know. But Kieran helped him along with his messaging there, Chewy, and I loved it.
It's good when we all work together for a common result. Look, if they know that it's coming out, I wonder what else they know. Oh, yeah. No, look, every time you put Bish into that sort of circumstance, it's just it's a woefully unprepared boxer walking into a taekwondo fight. He's in the wrong place and he's not ready.
Yeah, and look, some of the conversation from that panel was obviously talking about the GDP, and it wasn't a good result. And yep, Labor and I guess Labor, I was going to say Labor and the coalition, they didn't have a coalition. Labor's got to stump up for those numbers because they came out around the election. It's not looking that good. However, because it's looking like the economy is dropping off quicker than it should be, what that could well mean is interest rates for mortgages and stuff will come down quicker as well. But then again, that'll put the pressure on to have. Anyway, it's not great. It's not awful and terrible. It seems that the last 12 months it's been sort of minus 0.3, plus 0.3, minus 0.3, minus 0.3, plus 0.3. So not good, but not as bad as it could be. And when you start comparing us to some of our counterparts, Australia and the US, their numbers are looking better. But also, we've said this many times, and I don't, this is not an issue that I find to be too bad. The reason that we're in a slightly worse state than some of the other economies is because we chose to keep more New Zealanders alive. That's what it comes down to. Our economy has taken longer to kickstart again, because if you look at the graphs of death, population death per million, we kept things closed down for longer. Be that right or wrong, if it was right for the health of the nation, it was either wrong or harder on the economy. I'm okay with that payoff for another 6 to 12 months to have more New Zealanders alive. That's just my opinion, though. Other people would rather have business numbers look better and have more dead New Zealanders. I mean, you're entitled to that opinion if you want, Chewie. Not you are, but
other countries that made that decision of business first and stack the bodies up as high as they go, their economies aren't exactly booming either. It's this whole idea that, you know, everything that happens to New Zealand is the government's fault.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And look, I'm going to be fair here in saying that what National has in front of them, not all the problems that they're trying to solve, they will be able to solve because they are outside of their control.
Yeah.
I do worry about, you know, their instructions to the Reserve Bank, whether that is just a blunt instrument. I do worry about the fact that they were cheerleading the best way to halt inflation is for 400,000 people to lose their jobs. Again, a very blunt instrument. I don't think that the people that have got in charge of their finance have the deft hand that it's going to take to navigate this without completely tanking the economy.
Yeah.
But the proof will be in the pudding.
It's as it's been through much of the last 2 or 3 years. No one's saying the numbers are amazing, but there are payoffs which have benefited individuals, and compared to the rest of the world, we're in the middle of the pack. I mean, America, I think's last growth for their quarter was 3, which is a bit of an outlier. I think Australia was 0.7. So, you know, it's not terrible, it's not good, but as I said, and I'll say it again and again and again, for those 20,000 more New Zealanders that research shows they estimate are alive because of how we operated, I'm okay with that payoff for now. I mean, if it goes on like this for 20 years, maybe we won't be so generous, but for now.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a video today about Australia's economy and just, again, the massive cash bailouts they made to massively profitable businesses in COVID because they squealed a little bit.
Yeah.
And the banks are making huge profits off these high interest rates. But of course, just like it is here, the squeezed middle is getting absolutely fucked by the interest rates. They're getting laid off by the businesses. They're having to pay out the nose for, you know, groceries and that sort of thing. It seems, you know, it's only the people getting squeezed. The banks and the supermarkets are still getting their profits. The big companies are still getting their profits.
Yeah.
Because they've got the ears of the people in charge. And now we have in government a bunch of people that are even more receptive to that. So I do worry.
I see your worry and I raise you a concern. I don't know which comes first, but that's just how I felt like it was supposed to come out. Yep. Okay. You're a bit worried. So let me give you something that's a bit lighthearted as we go through this evening. Remember, Discord's open, guys. In fact, why don't I go and jump into Discord now? So if anyone else is there, they can hear us. So I'll go put myself in the live call in and that should all be working. It is. If you are in the Discord or you want to come into the Discord, I'll put all if you're not part of Discord yet, I'll put them all in the chats as we go through this. But if you are a Discord member, you can go and get in the waiting room if you want to have a chat. We've got this story here. We've got another story after that, but maybe in about 20 minutes, we might be taking some calls through Discord if you want to. If not, another early one, Chewie. We'll see how that goes. Okay. So here's Stephen Colbert. So the news is Tucker Carlson has started up a network. He's going to do like, I guess like you know how the TYT Young Turks, they have all those kind of offshoots of what they do as what they're doing. He's doing a similar sort of thing and he's going to charge for it per month. And this is Stephen Colbert's response to it.
Oh, there's news about former Fox News anchor and Orville Redenbiggett Tucker Carlson. You may remember that Tucker got fired from Fox News for somehow being too racist. So he started a show over on Twitter, but now he's got an even worse idea because yesterday he announced he's launching his own streaming service called Tucker Carlson Network for $9 a month. Now that seems steep, but there is a free version. For $0 a month, you can never watch Tucker Carlson again.
I don't. All the night show hosts do this kind of thing. I don't like this kind of silliness. It's the kind of it really is vaudevillian clownness. I just get on with it. Yeah, you got a funny bit here. Keep going.
Acting. So what's on this network? According to the website, there'll be interviews with people like Kid Rock, Martin Shkreli, Alex Jones, and RFK Jr., collectively known as Mount Douchemore. The only thing I don't really get about this new platform is the name, Tucker Carlson Network. It kind of feels incomplete. Like, it doesn't feel like he should have called it the Tucker Carlson Network. And he really should have gotten the website, thetuckercarlsonnetwork.com, and he didn't. But I did. So head on over to thetuckercarlsonnetwork.com and check out my exclusive Tucker content. We got a great show.
All right. So a classic gotcha-ism there. And if we go across to the Tucker Carlson Network right now, this is what's playing.
Yes.
But not only that, if you scroll down on it, Tucker says give generously, and there's some proper charities there as well. So he got it. He's got that. And there's one other thing to show you, because later in the show, Stephen Colbert also then showed the advert that has been manufactured for the Tucker Carlson Network called Tuckflix.
Get ready for the first ever streaming service that has Tucker Carlson in every single show. Introducing Tuckflix. You'll see a stellar lineup like Skewed Claims.
They're not called gingerbread people. You don't want to give them a gender without their consent. You don't even want to know how many bathrooms there are in gingerbread houses now. A lot.
And of course, a show all about the importance of testicle tanning. Orange is the new sad.
Half the viewers are now.
That's quite funny.
Testicle tanning? That's crazy.
Nuts.
And also, Izzy Cake. It's all coming soon on Tuckflix.
It's hard to watch.
So yes, a pretty funny. I mean, the late night shows in America, to be really honest with you, I find them a bit cringy at the best of times. But when they do something well, they do it well. You know, there's a part of me which still thinks that Stephen Colbert was like a literal cultural phenom when he was doing the Colbert Report. Like he was an important part in the media ecosystem, and now he's this sounds horrible, but a bit of a dancing clown. You know, but when he hits his strides and does it right, he's pretty damn good. And that was a pretty good troll, Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad they're pointing out that Tucker is first and foremost at this stage a Russian misinformation asset. That's brilliant. Actually, have you seen there's a program on Apple Plus called For All Mankind? Have you seen that?
I have not.
So, long story short, it's an alternate history show that basically hinges on the premise that the Russians got to the moon first, and how that would change our world. At the moment, the show's I think that the latest season is set around 2005, and they are definitely leaning on the fact of we've got a show that will a talking head show here that will clearly hint at the fact that it's Fox News and it's just hitting Russian misinformation talking points all the way through. So, and they're not being particularly subtle about it. So I think that this is one of the things that some people are realizing is that a lot of the right-wing talking heads over there they're not patriots.
No, since Trump has made certain positive noises around Putin, then they all have to get in line, obviously. So some people are saying an underrated show. I've actually never checked it out. 93% by the actual reviewers and 81 from the audience. You don't get much better than that on Rotten Tomatoes.
I tell you what, if you like alternate history or sci-fi or just ever wondered why we never went back to the moon, watch that show. I love it. I think Gary here has nailed it here. We get our news from the US, from comedians, because their news reporting is a joke. Absolutely. I watch John Oliver's Last Week Tonight almost religiously for the same reasons.
Yeah, John Oliver is the best at the moment. I mean, but I think part of the reason he's the best is the time they put for the research, the only being a single show. I mean, I've seen him interviewed and he goes, we couldn't do this as a 5-night-a-week show. It's impossible. No. And also the money, like what they do with that money. And even he jokes about it, certainly at the start, that he doesn't know how HBO's budgets work. The money they put into it is just, I mean, even just look at the New Zealand Bird of the Year adverts on 3 or 4 or 5 continents. Just who else does that? But most importantly, the information is always pretty solid. I'm not saying he hits it out of the park every time, but he always makes pretty good contact.
I love the fact that it is always, week after week, a deep dive. Like, I'm a big fan of the deep dive. Don't gloss over it. Give me the history. Give me the context. Give me the flow and effects. Give me the reasons why it got this bad, and give me a couple of options on how it would be better. But it's definitely following a theme now that there is not a system or a way of doing things that America cannot break, corrupt, and turn into the worst version it could possibly be. That's the theme of John Oliver's show week after week.
Yeah. No, I get it. And people are talking about Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart in his heyday was that sort of, and I've told this story before. I can remember him having, what's his name? Inconvenient Truth, Vice President of the USA.
Yep.
Whatever his name was, Al Sharpton, Al Gore on, and Jon Stewart said to him, we're a show that gets introduced by puppets making prank phone calls. Why can we say these things? In other words, speaking truth to power. Why can we do that and the mainstream media don't? And Al Gore said really bluntly, it's like, in medieval times, the only person that could speak truth to the king without fear of getting their head cut off was the jester. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of truth in that. Jon
Stewart for Democratic candidate.
He'll never do it.
He'll
never do it. He'll never do it.
He's been circling around politics for ages. He did some amazing work for veterans and 9/11 victims and stuff like that. Firefighters. He should put his hat in the ring.
Why? But why? What would he get out of it? I mean, because it's not the president, even though, especially if they don't have both Congress and Senate, they actually don't have a lot of power because they have to be able to get stuff through. They become somewhat of a figurehead. So unless they can have both houses, it's very difficult to get stuff passed. And then once you do get stuff passed, do you think, like, even though we probably agree that we would both prefer to see the Bernie Sanders type character there for a bit of a crack, but what would he have been able to achieve? Don't you think those Democrats who actually have supporters in the fossil fuel area and stuff would allow Bernie Sanders to do anything? They would allow Jon Stewart to do anything? I don't know. I just don't. I think sitting on the outside throwing stones in sometimes might be a more powerful position.
Am I just a utopist for wanting someone in the White House, in the Oval Office, in charge of the largest military in the world, one of the biggest economies in the world, to not be a decrepit skeleton, an absolute infestation of brainworms, wearing a diaper, a compromised Russian agent, or just a complete nutbar? I just, I hark back to the simpler times of George W. Bush.
Look, I hear you, and I'm not saying
he was crazy.
Yeah, I'm not saying he wouldn't be brilliant at it, for the ideas. I'm just going, why would he do it, and what would he be able to achieve? But look, we'll see what happens and see how long it takes for Joe Biden to drop dead before they have to put someone in place. Let's move on, though, shall we? Let's move on to this inter-islander conversation, because Chewy, you said something last night about one of the problems that we always do is we get secondhand shit not fit for purpose, and then this kind of thing happens. Literally today, they're talking about getting secondhand ferries instead of it. Let's have a look at the story from News Hub tonight.
The ferries are still coming and going, but at the terminal and along the wharf, it's tools down, and it's got the unions mad.
We're seeing this project develop, and we're behind it. But it's just astounding. It's just to be canned so quickly.
Finance Minister Nicola Willis announced yesterday Cabinet declined to fund Kiwi Rail's IREX project.
It's a pretty cool looking ferry. I mean, you know, we're not going to see it, but she's pretty dope looking.
Because the cost has gone from $1.5 billion to almost $3 billion. Now, for unions.
Well, that's not entirely true what they're saying, because they said then they're not ordering the ferries because the cost has gone from 1.5 million to 3. Now, the cost of the ferries hasn't changed at all. They're locked into a contract with that. The cost has to do with the terminals and what they need to do to those terminals, which is some hand is in the government's control, because it's all about seawalls and earthquaking. And there's a big part of this, which actually the government, and I'm not saying they shouldn't do it, but they have control over some of the increase in costs due to the increase in regulations. Not saying it's bad. I mean, we want buildings not to fall down. But that's actually a lot of the reason that the cost has gone up. And we'll play this too, but some of the maritime unions and the unions themselves who have thought they would have had jobs for the next 6 years are now pretty unhappy.
Representing maritime and rail workers are calling for Willis to resign.
I think she should stand down with making such a big call without having a lot of debate.
Needed to resign? No, this was a decision made by Cabinet. It is the right decision for New Zealand.
Kiwi Rail says it might still have to build the 2 ferries already on order and then sell them.
But the new ships aren't causing the budget blowouts. It's costs for things like sea walls and wharf upgrades to meet seismic and flood requirements. Kiwi Rail's CEO is questioning who should be footing the bill for that in the first place.
You know, if Air New Zealand bought in large planes, they wouldn't have to pay for all the upgrades for the terminals.
Kiwi Rail, the government and other stakeholders
interesting point. Yeah, interesting point.
What happens next? The finance minister is adamant, though, there will be new ferries, just not the ones Kiwi Rail wanted.
The Ferrari is not the only car in the garage. I think it's time we had a look and see if there's a Toyota Corolla, good reliable one, that might be able to do the job, or maybe some second-hand Teslas.
I think they'd be more like a Lada. I don't think we're going to find what they're looking for, to be truthful.
Either way, both the mayors of Wellington and Marlborough want a quick solution.
No, I still have some hope that there will be solutions found, but it is a necessary part of our state highway network and journeys.
We still need a new plan, and I think that's the thing that I'll be talking to Kiwi Rail and the government about. It's vital.
Vital to keep the islands connected. Leighton Hakel, New South.
There you go, Chewy. So you called it last night. You called it about they'd be looking at buying something secondhand that wasn't fit for purpose. But that information tonight, specifically about, sorry, my brain just turned off. Oh, that's right. About perhaps Kiwi Rail still having to build and buy these things and then sell them off is just another layer on this ridiculous grandstand we're on right now.
I think some of the other things I said last night as well, equally true. It's she wants to focus on the fact that the ferries have got more expensive because that's easier for the public to swallow. When it's cost blowouts on the actual infrastructure that needs doing. If anybody has gone through Wellington's ferry terminal, it is tired. It's right on a fault line. We've had a couple of big earthquakes in recent years. And you're looking at that and going, oh, maybe it does need to be strengthened. You know, if they are bigger ferries, because our population has grown. We need bigger boats. We need reliable boats. We need something that's designed for this country and the conditions that these boats are going to have to go on.
Yeah.
I did see Kiwi Rob here. He said a few interesting comments about the ferries. I'm going to highlight this one, though. Why can't Wellington Council help with the cost? And I honestly, I don't have an answer for this.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I think it's a fair point. But I mean, is it just Wellington that gets the economic benefits of
Wellington? But Wellington certainly. Well, I mean, I think the head of Kiwi Rail, he talked about airports. I mean, if it was a new wing of Auckland International Airport, they would get most of the benefit from that, even though people are landing then going off to Queenstown or going off to Northland or going off to Wellington. Certainly the location that the terminal is in gets the primary advantage from it. Other places get as well. But I think that's a really good question that the guy from Kiwi Rail asked, and I don't have any problems with searching for an answer for that. Why are Kiwi Rail having to build their own terminal? I mean, unless it's this, Chewy, if Kiwi Rail are the only people to use that terminal, and the only one to profit from that terminal, maybe there's a case. Whereas the airport example has 20 different companies flying into it who all pay to fly into
They'll
it.
pay their landing fees and stuff like
So
that. But I mean, the flip side of that is cool. That's one end of it, right? So I guess the tiny town of Picton is going to pick up the cost for their terminal. Is it if a bridge needs doing on State Highway 1 in South Canterbury, does the Timaru District Council have to pay for it?
Yeah.
You know,
your point is
not
fair.
as clear cut. Like, I honestly don't know if this is a stupid idea or whether there's another way of funding it. But again, from a government that is laser focused on tax cuts and always has been, and then can't afford to fund something, then maybe we're looking at the wrong problems. Because we know those ferries are tired. We know the infrastructure is tired. We know that there's challenges with port facilities and earthquake and climate change vulnerable places. And maybe we just need to go, we need to do this. Because as you said last night, Pat, it's not like we can put this off for 5, 10, 15 years and then suddenly it's going to be cheaper. This stuff is not going to get cheaper. We need to do it. We just need to put the big boy pants on and go, this is vital national infrastructure.
And the idea, I don't know if you've seen, but I'm wearing my Christopher Luxon, not a businessman, just a board member t-shirt tonight, because that slogan worked so fucking well at the last election, didn't it? But we've been told borrowing for infrastructure is a sensible thing to do, because then you can pay it back and pay it off over the forthcoming 20 to 50 years. So why can't we do that for this? Why can't the government pay for it, like Tauranga did with their bridge, like Auckland did with their harbour bridge, and then there is a fee to use it by KiwiRail that comes back to the central government, and they pay it off over the next 20 to 50 years. So I just think the idea of getting something, as you say, our population smaller and not as effective and not purpose built for that strait, which is a pretty dangerous strait, is going to, in the long run, hurt us more. Now, look, let's be honest. In our own personal finance, we all do that sometimes. Like, I would like to buy, my car is probably getting towards the end of its life. I would like to buy an EV next. I may not be able to do that. I probably can't do that. So I may have to put off what I want, my Ferrari, quote unquote, till the car after this one, and then get an intermediary to get us through. So it's not a practice that's foreign, but I guess when you've basically got access to unlimited sums of money and then access to that being paid back, why wouldn't you do the gold standard? They've literally said we can't have the gold standard. Why not? What's stopping us? Why not put a debt on that thing for the next 40 or 50 years and pay it back? I don't know. It seems small-minded to me from the business party, the big picture business guys. Now, Chewie, I want to share something else with you, all right? Because this is a part of this story. I want to introduce to you people what it means to have a talking point. So this is, we've already seen this two lovely couple tonight. So this is Chris Bishop and Kieran McAnulty on breakfast. Coming up with them, I'm also going to show you Nicola Willis on the AM show. Now, you'll imagine that's the same time. So these guys are on TV at the same time. This is what a talking point looks like.
Every dollar you spend on that is a dollar you can't spend on schools, hospitals, roads, and everything else. So it is a tough decision.
Because every dollar we spend on redeveloping ports and terminals and boats in excess of what's required is a dollar we can't spend on schools, on hospitals, on the roads across the country that need replacing.
Frankly, we were buying a Ferrari solution when, sometimes the old second-hand Toyota Corolla does the job, those old reliables. So that's more what we're going for. Going for the sensible option rather than the gold-plated option.
The Ferrari is not the only car in the garage. I know that the big ship solution that they came up with was their preference, but I think it's time we had a look and see if there's a Toyota Corolla, good reliable one, that might be able to do the job, or maybe some second-hand Teslas.
So that is what a talking point looks like. And that is exactly what the right do not do well. One other point I want to bring up about this. Willis and Bishop both said as part of their talking points that every dollar you spend on the ferries, on the infrastructure, on whatever, is a dollar you can't spend on hospitals, roads, and skills. Has anybody told them that every dollar that they give to a landlord, every dollar that they give back in tax cuts is not a dollar you can spend on roads, hospitals, and schools? This is this mealy-mouthed, mumble-mouthed fucking approach where they get to pick and choose that we can't afford that, and that ferries would take away from schools. And I don't know if you watched Nicola Willis, but she's like, schools and roads and hospitals. But they say it's okay to give all those dollars away to landlords and not use that for schools, roads, and hospitals. So I wanted to highlight tonight, I think all politicians do it, but the right are particularly bad at portraying authenticity and even empathy, and let's be honest, intelligence when it comes to them selling those talking points. You see it in America and the GOP a lot, but what I was almost going to do is line them up on top of each other, but he speaks much quicker than she does because it is literally the same thing. It's a Ferrari secondhand Corolla. It's roads, it's hospitals, it's schools. And what's happened, we all know this, what's happened is the PR guys last night sent out an email to all of the people as to what would be a good idea to sell, what would be a good talking point. Those two were on TV at the same time. So it's not like Bish heard Willis and went, hey, I like that example, I'm going to use it as well. They were on TV at the same time and said exactly the same thing. I just wanted to show that tonight, Joey. Yeah.
No, I love it when you see that because it like we've talked about authenticity in the past, and it can be really, maybe you could go on the morning shows and say something like this, just fucking change it up a bit so you don't sound the same. But yeah, I love it when stuff like this gets pointed out. The whole Ferrari versus secondhand trade me Corolla thing. We've been down this route before. One of the most egregious examples of this, the HMNZS Charles Upham. Do you know about that one?
Yeah, keep going.
So, in I think it's the late 70s, government started looking at the fact that the Navy needed a dedicated cargo ship to support overseas operations and disaster response and all of that good stuff. They wanted to be able to take it to Antarctica. It needed to be ice strengthened. It needed to handle very challenging sub-Antarctic oceans and that sort of thing. It was just basically the gold standard of everything that the military wanted. And then it bounced across several governments over the space of decades. And then in the mid-90s, basically what we settled on after governments going, no, we can't afford it, we can't do that, manage your expectations, come on, pull it into line. They settled on buying a second-hand, third, fourth-hand, Dutch-manufactured cargo ship that had been running oranges up and down the Spanish coast. And they painted it grey. They gave it to the Navy, and it wasn't fit for purpose. And we dicked around with it for like 10, 15 years trying to fix it, make it better. The crews didn't like it because it just made everyone seasick. They had to put in half of its total capacity in ballast to make sure that the crew wasn't constantly throwing up. It couldn't carry what it wanted, and that's what happens when we just go, oh, we'll just buy something off the shelf. Sometimes it doesn't work, and it's just a money pit. And that is my fear. Look, they might be able to find something at a good price that'll do the job, and it'll be an absolute win-win. But that hasn't been our experience here.
We don't have evidence of that to back that up. Yeah.
And I think just, the options of we've paid this money, we can't get out of the contract, we're going to buy the ships anyway, and then we're going to sell them at a loss because we don't want to build robust infrastructure for what is a vital link. Like whenever these ferries go down, it's a bad time.
Yeah.
I remember them crapping out in the school holiday period and people just absolutely losing their shit. You're talking about the transport of goods and freight and livestock between islands. It's not something that you can just pick up the capacity of going, oh, you can just fly from Christchurch. You can't fly a train. You can't fly a stock truck. You know, the analogy that we're using is, it is a road, and roads are important. The East Coast knows this. The top of the South Island knows this, of what happens when you lose capacity on your transport network. And as much as I might bitch about National's obsession with roads, this is one that they need to obsess on.
Yeah, no, very good.
It's a big pothole.
We're gonna do one more part of this, and that's the already they're signaling signs to privatize this. But before we do, after we finish that part of the story in 5 minutes or so, we will open up the old Discord. So you need to jump into Discord and come across here to the waiting room that I'm highlighting. There's already a couple people in there waiting. And once we're finished with this story, which has got one more small component to it, we'll fire up the Discord, have a chat with some people. If you want to come and have a chat, we haven't been able to do that for a couple of weeks. Would love to hear your thoughts. Remembering that next week is also our last week. Okay, for the year, that is. So here's the last thing, right? And I'm not going to build this up too much by just saying, have a listen to the language that she says, that she uses around how they're going to approach this now, talking about getting experts around the table. This just screams to me privatization, or at very best, a public-private partnership. So this is talking on breakfast this morning about the ferry terminals and the plan for the Interislander.
I have confidence that we can work together to find a way forward. I do want to get others involved in solving this problem.
Just that straight away. I do want to get others involved. Who are we talking about here? Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about? This is my the bullshit meters going up in the back of the neck a little bit.
Kiwi Rail, by their own admission, are not marine engineers. They're not port experts. They're not experts at building wharves. So I want to make sure we have the right people involved. I also have to acknowledge that Kiwi Rail aren't always going to be best placed to work out what's best for taxpayers, for ferry passengers, for freight passengers. They're going to be the best people to work out.
They're not going to be the best at figuring that out. But this consultancy, they'll probably be much better at it.
What's best for Kiwi Rail's passengers and freight. But we need to take a look at the bigger picture and work with all of the people involved here.
When you say you want to get other people involved, what are you talking about? And is it possible that we could have a separate entity doing capital projects that would then be operated by Kiwi Rail?
Or a separate entity doing it? Is that possible? Like a it begins with a P, a partnership, a privatization, a separate entity working beside Kiwi Rail, and then Kiwi Rail uses their product.
Look, there are a lot of options on the table. My first step is to get experts around the table, experts at developing infrastructure on time and on budget, experts on transport projects, experts who will help me ensure that I don't fall into the same money trap that the last government did, where a project was allowed to quadruple in cost and the checks just had to keep on being written.
Just remember though, National, one of your big complaints was the amount that was spent on consultants by Labor. These people you're going to get around you, Nicola, these experts you're going to get around you, I'm assuming therefore they're voluntary or they're already public servants, because if they weren't voluntary or public servants, then that would be an external cost to the government, much like a consultant. Who are these experts, Chewy?
It's also a massive oversimplification of the cost blowout because Labor's bad at managing their costs. We've had huge inflation. What happens when inflation happens, Pat?
Things
Prices
cost more.
Go up. Things cost more.
Yeah.
And you've just taken the work that's been done in planning for that, which has a value, and thrown it away and don't go, we're going to get people to come in and tell us how to do it.
Yeah,
it's like you're already there. You're just fuck.
All right, this has got about 45 seconds to go.
Which means, surely, Minister, surely that means it won't be whatever comes next. It won't be Kiwi Rail building it, because you can't throw good money after bad. You can't go down the same track the last government did with this lot.
I think Kiwi Rail will have a role to play, but my message to Kiwi Rail has been the Ferrari is not the only car in the garage. I know that the big ship solution that they came up with was their preference, but I think it's time we had a look and see if there's a Toyota Corolla, good reliable one, that might be able to do the job, or maybe some second-hand Teslas. We've got to look at other options that present a more affordable way forward for New Zealand.
There you go, Chewy. So to me, all I could hear was privatization, public-private partnership, privatization, external group, building, making, controlling, and then selling to the government, or living off it for the next 20 or 30 years with fees kicking back to them.
Whether it's a Ferrari, a Corolla, or a second-hand Tesla, at the garage you're putting it in is going to fall over. It doesn't fucking matter. But she's trying to equate. She's trying to keep it simple. There's a couple of messages there. The costs blew out because Labour bad. The costs blew out because we're buying a luxury ship. And the second point is definitely not true. The first point, show me you're working.
No. Can't do that. Hang on. You're not asking for a regulatory impact statement, are you, Chewy? We don't do that. What are you talking about?
Well, sounds like a waste of time. Just slow everything down.
I won't even read it if you do it.
A couple of other bullet points when we've gone down this path before, when we've run down a public service, a public infrastructure. Sale of New Zealand Rail, 1993. Government sold New Zealand Rail in 1993 for $328 million to a consortium of US company. Wisconsin Central was the leading shareholder. That became Toll. And then we flash forward a little bit. In May 2008, the New Zealand government agreed to buy all the rail and sea transport assets of Toll New Zealand Limited for $665 million. Can we not learn? Can we not learn from the mistakes of the past? That's all I'm asking. Just stop fucking around.
And I guess I'm not
overseas business that is there to extract profit.
I guess I'm not even suggesting that they'll privatize the whole thing or sell it off, but some of their people they know, wink wink nudge nudge, building the ferry terminal, that kind of stuff, getting the money that way. So yeah, who knows? Hey,
it'll be a public-private partnership because they love that and it works so well with Transmission Gully.
Yeah, let's do a couple of the super chats and then we're going to get to Discord, have a bit of a chat for a little bit, and then we're going to head off. So Jackson Media for $8.99, thanks for the super chat, we appreciate it. So you're saying that this is work that needs to be done to future-proof our infrastructure. Guess it's not a big enough pothole. So Jackson Media for that, thank you for your super chat. Oh, another one from Jackson Media here. Second-hand ship equals still needs wharf upgrade. I wonder if that's the reason that they need the upgrade was the size of the ship. They basically need a new wharf and a new terminal. So I guess what they're saying, Chewy, is their Corolla it might be newer, but it'll still be the same size as what they've got now, which I think they're already struggling with. Because if it was going to be any bigger, then Jackson probably got a fair point that they'd probably need to upgrade the terminal anyway. So unless basically the second-hand Corolla is exactly perfect for the ferry terminal, there's probably going to have to be some work anyway.
Yeah, the second-hand Corolla for your family of 7 is not great. We need a bigger boat. We need a boat that will weather those conditions. And we need to upgrade port facilities because we have a bigger population now. We need something to take what is going to go on those boats.
Yeah.
Freight and passengers.
Absolutely. And guess who's late? Guess who's late? It sounds like a Slim Shady song. Smash the like from Kooky and Nick, $2 super chat. And you know what just jumped into my head right then? What jumped into my head is the News Talk ZB phone number. Like that's the patter from, but that's the patter from like 15 years ago, 12 years ago. Okay, time for the phones. 0800. It was there. I felt it coming out the front.
Are we calling who's on ZB at the moment? Should we give them a call?
I got no idea. I don't know. But we
Wouldn't
could.
that be great?
Let's do our own kind of talk back, shall we? Hubba huge. Okay, guys, if you want to jump into the waiting room, look, I reckon we stick around till about 10:15 at the latest, Chewy. So we're not going to have massive long calls, 3 or 5 minutes each. Have a chat, but whatever you like, make sure that your mics are turned on and that you're not listening to us through YouTube. Listen to us through Discord, because that's how you get the big long delay. So you need to listen to us in Discord, which means turning off or pausing your YouTube if that's where you are watching us. Now, I know Peter's probably been there for the longest, so I think we'll go grab Peter first and say hello. So let's rip into it. Hello, Peter. Come in, Peter. We can hear you tapping there, Peter. We know you're there.
No, it's all wrong.
Going to go in 3, 2, 1. Peter, last chance.
I can't hear anything on my end.
Oh, we can hear you. So you've got your the speakers probably set up. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room there, Peter. So you guys need to sort out your ends where you can't listening to the YouTube because it's in delay. So you need to be listening to us through Discord. Your settings are your issue when it comes to that. We've talked to Rajan before, so let's go have a chat with Rajan again. Hello there, sir.
Hello, kia ora, guys.
Kia ora, what's up?
How's it going?
Oh, good. Just quickly, Peter, don't have to go anywhere, mate. We'll come back to you in a minute if you wanted to give it another crack. But anyway, we're with you now, Rajan. What's up?
Oh, pretty angry to be honest.
Just the norm.
And just let it settle in.
Yeah. Tell us why. Let us be your welcoming ears.
Cool. So I actually went to a union meeting yesterday for the first union, which I joined recently. Took your advice, Chewy.
Good man.
Oh,
yep. Specifically pursuing because I'm a pack and save worker, and it was mostly about the fair pay agreements. It's kind of talking about like what they're about, why we need them, and why it's going to be frustrating when they get rid of them. And I go home to check the Parliament TV on demand thingy because I've been particularly watching like the main speeches, which I don't know if you guys have been following, but the ones from the new Te Pāti Māori MPs in particular have been really good. But anyway, I see that they were already when I got home at second reading, meaning they've already ran through the first reading and then the first committee stage. And then I wake up this morning and see a headline that they've repealed it already. So, I mean, like we already knew. Yep, I mean we already knew it was going to be within the 100-day plan, but still annoying to see.
After going to your union meeting, like the vibe that you got from there, do you see a benefit in it, a value for you to be a part of them?
Oh, definitely. It was fairly small though. There was about 5 people in the crowd, including me. Oh no, 6. But yeah, most of the other people were countdown workers, which I hear apparently countdown at least in the places that lady was talking about. They have about 60% unionization among the workers, and they're able to get way better working conditions for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's good, I mean, that's what unions are for. That's what their strength has always been. Basically fighting for the little guys, fighting for the workers, for rights that are more difficult for the worker to get for themselves, purely because of that pressure between boss and employee. We've all had this before. Oh, no, we don't expect you to work every public holiday, but then all of a sudden you're like, hey, we've really got no one for Easter Monday, can you please get in? But I'm due to have it off. I know, look, you're due to have it off, but if you can do us this favor, we'll remember it next time. Remember, there's promotions on the way. And that's why the union's great. They're like, they will hold the line for you.
And whether or not those promotions even come, questionable. Yeah. One other thing, because I was watching last night. I was kind of skimming through the debate in Parliament about it, and one talking point that really fucking pisses me off from the government about this is, the fair pay agreements are actually bad for workers because it means that that non-unionized workers will have to accept the minimum standards that unionized members get. It's like, oh yes, those poor non-unionized workers having to accept higher pay, more guarantees around hours and whatnot. Oh, how will they get by?
Yeah, you got to watch out for the bullshit. And again, great reason to be with the union. They'll just give you the facts, what's right for you, because the union are really just about the workers. I mean, they do compromise, obviously, because there is an acknowledgement that without the workplace, the worker doesn't have a job, but they'll certainly be going to negotiations and advice with the worker at the forefront of their mind and the workplace secondary versus the other way around, which will be the employees often.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Hey, well, thanks for. Hey, do you have any favorites from this year that you want to see come back next week? Any particular guest that you want to see?
Probably Chloe's the main one if you can get her. Hannah would be great.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all I wanted to say. If I don't get to chat with you guys before the end of the year, I'll just say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you both.
Very good.
Oh,
and
thanks,
you too.
buddy.
Thanks for being a part of us this year.
Cheers. Thanks. Happy New Year.
All right, dude. All the best. Maybe we could do that. You know, I was about to say, hey, why don't you tweet at Chloe? That kind of feels a bit creepy and a bit aggressive. I don't think we should do that, eh? Are you going to go on BHN? No, let's not do that. We won't do that. I'm not sure who was up next, so we'll just go Paula and then Lost Soul. So Paula, if you want to turn your mic on. I think what's happening as well, Chewy, this is what I thought about with the speakers. Don't just turn your speakers down. Just mute the YouTube, because we got to come out the speakers. So mute your YouTube. Don't just turn the speakers down. That's probably maybe what happened with Peter. We'll go to Paula. Kia ora, Paula.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, very good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad.
What's going on?
Oh, I know.
You've jumped on to have a chat with us. What's going on? What do you want to say?
Yeah, so I thought, moving and GDP.
We're actually really struggling to hear you. You're very muffled, and I can't make out what you're saying. Do you want to give it another go? Just maybe speak a bit louder, or see if it works for you.
Yeah, how about me?
Yeah, that's a bit better. We'll give it a go. It's pretty bad quality, but we'll give it a go. What do you want to share?
Oh, so GDP, whatever the number movement is, that's off a base, right? So it's compared to the previous period. So if you've got a high GDP, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're much better now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better.
If you've got a high GDP and there's a bit of movement, then the percentage change won't be all that great.
Yeah.
If you've got a low GDP, then whatever moves is going to, as a percentage, it's going to look like a bigger change.
Sure.
So GDP under the previous government was actually not too bad, all things considered. So I think we were coming off a moderate to high base, and when you're at that sort of position, any sort of movement downwards is always going to look bad.
Yep.
But not as bad as if we're coming off, say, 1% growth or 0.5% growth. So just an observation on that.
Yeah, no. So basically, what you're saying is, if someone drops 0.3 and they're on 0, then that's like a 300% or something. Well, 0.3 to 0.6 is 100% increase, whereas from 3 to 2.7 is only a 10% increase, but it's both a 0.3 change.
Bang on.
Yeah, gotcha.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah, no, good point.
And I guess the other thing that I'm really concerned about is, the tuning of the Picton Ferry. It's classic softening the public up for privatisation in some way, shape, or form.
So what it sounds like.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Because you've got to paint public ownership in a really bad light to soften down all that political backlash, and then you say, well, we sort of had to do it because, and that's how it rolls.
Yep. No, I hear you. All right. I thank you for your call or for your Discord. We appreciate your thoughts tonight. It was great to speak to you.
Cool. Love you guys to bits. Good on you.
Thanks, dude. You too. And we'll go to Lost Soul. Lost Soul, you want to turn your microphone on and work out your speaker so you can hear us, and we'll come and say good day. Hello, Mr. Soul.
Good evening, fellas.
Good evening. How are you?
It's been an interesting week. I don't know if you saw Discord in the photo I posted earlier in the week.
Not sure. What was in there?
I got shot at by the neighbors across the road with an air rifle.
Sorry, what?
Okay. Yeah, I live across the road from local Black Power members, and my mum called the dog pound, who are their cousins, on their dog who was locked in a cage and crying, and they took exception to this.
Gosh.
And shot the rifle through a window, so that's been stressful.
So what's what comes from that?
The police say nothing. Out on crime.
How did they do nothing?
Because there's no definitive proof. They can go, yeah, that is definitely a bullet hole that came from over there, but do you have any camera footage? Do you see them with the gun? Can you testify that about anything? No.
Yeah,
Can you even find the slug in the grass? No.
That's
so that's been interesting.
It sounds super scary, dude.
Yeah. So that's been really interesting. And then, just the whole state of the nation falling apart. I also wanted to say thank you for the shirt.
Oh, no dramas.
Chewy, I don't know what the connection is between you and me, but you picked me twice now. I feel like the favorite girl of the ball. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
You picked me twice in a row.
We, just so people know, I write down.
I know.
I write down the names of people, then I randomly assign a number to them, not in that order, and Chewy picks the number, and if that's how it lands, and that's how it lands.
That's why I feel like there's a connection there.
We definitely need to have it not lost soul.
Yes, please, not me again. I appreciate it. I brought a shirt and I won one in the same night.
Oh, perfect.
So I don't need no more shirts. Thank you.
Mr. Soul, do you have any suggestions for a favorite for next week?
Oh, Jack Tame. 100%.
Well, I've emailed him. That's all I can do. That's the only way I've ever communicated with Jack. So I could tweet at him, I guess, as well. We'll see what happens. All right.
I understand. Or Chloe.
All right, dude.
Enjoy your night.
Yeah, appreciate your call. And let me also say, speaking of buying things and etc., I've sent out a message to all the paid patrons, and we're doing a meetup on Saturday morning. And Chewy, what I've said is, if you come to the meetup on Saturday morning, you must bring your best Christmas cracker joke for Saturday morning.
Sweet Jesus!
I know. We'll go to one more, shall we? It looks like Frosty with a whole bunch of Y's. I think it is. Hi, is that Frosty?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. You hear us okay?
Yeah, that's good. I just have a question for you fellas.
Go for it.
What are your thoughts on Tariana Turia's comments supporting National regarding the removal of Te Aka Whaiora, the Māori Health Authority?
I haven't seen the comments. Chewy, have you seen the comments? Because if we haven't seen the comments, then you could enlighten us.
I'll just read the Wikipedia part for this for the sake of time. But Turia expressed support for the incoming 6th National Government's plan to scrap Te Aka Whaiora. She said that she would rather see funding being given directly to whānau, iwi and hapu to manage their own health needs. And she praised John Key and Bill English on Māori health, on the progress they made for Māori health. And she criticised the Labour government for allegedly not taking into the account the differences in the way people view things.
All right, there we go. This is what we do.
That's interesting. No, I hadn't seen that.
Couple of things about it. So Dame Tariana Turia believes more can be accomplished for Māori health under National. The first thing I'd say is this is not John Key's National Party. That's the first thing.
No, very different.
Yeah, very different. National has made it clear it plans to disestablish Te Aka Whaiora. Dame Tariana Turia says she would rather see funding being given directly to iwi to enable iwi to resource their own health needs. I wonder if that comes from when Mr. Luxon got caught up a few times, because he had this real strange thing that he said was he agrees that by Māori for Māori when it comes to health, and then when he got challenged that's what the Māori Health Authority was, he'd be going, no, but not centralized. So he's talking about maybe going straight to iwi. So maybe that's what she is referencing. I also think, I know, I'm not trying to find skeletons in the closet, but I think and I wonder, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Tariana Turia was involved with Labour and they kind of shat all over them. There might be a little bit of grumpiness there from the past as well. But in general, what I hear her saying is, as long as that money still goes to Māori, but say via iwi, then she thinks that's a better result. I guess my response now would be, I don't think that's going to happen. So if it wasn't going to go to iwi, would it be better to keep the Māori Health Authority or get rid of it altogether? Because I don't think that this is the kind of government, from what we've seen so far, that's going to happily, I don't know how much the Māori Health Authority was, let's say it's $1 billion. This is not the kind of government that I can imagine now splitting up that $1 billion to local iwi for health issues. I don't see that. So maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, but maybe she sees this ideal and this ideal looks fine to her because, $1 billion into a centralized pot or $1 billion split up to all the iwi is the same to her, and she thinks it'd be better done locally. I wonder what she'd say, if it was $1 billion put into the pot or nothing. I wonder how she'd respond to that. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I hear that.
But interesting. Yeah, interesting. I hadn't seen that. What do you think about it? What are your thoughts?
I think my view on the Māori Health Authority is very mixed. Like, I'm a Māori person. I've had no experience with it at all. And I really only heard about it once they said it was going to be disestablished. So I think the Māori Health Authority, there was a big issue regarding marketing there and saying, well, this is trying to fix the inequities within the system regarding Pākehā and Māori. And I feel like a lot of Māori in the community, or a lot of Māori who really aren't in touch with the goings on regarding politics and Māoridom, weren't really aware of what the Māori Health Authority was or how it would affect them personally. That's just what I've seen in the circles that I'm a part of.
Yeah, no, interesting. And thanks for bringing it to our attention, because neither of us had really seen that. I haven't noticed your name before in Discord. Are you a fairly newbie? Have you been around for a while?
I really just found you guys over the last couple of weeks or so.
Oh, bless. Well, thanks for jumping on board and having a chat with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, dude. All the best.
Thank you.
There you go. And that'll do us tonight for the old Discord, I think, Chewy. There's a few chats there. I saw Paula here. That's a quote from the Herald. She's saying, this is about Tariana Turia. She's saying direct to iwi and hapu and whānau. She isn't saying she supports the disestablishment of Te Aka Whai Ora. This was a news item in October 19, I think-ish. That was 19th of October 2023 was the article I was looking at there. But to be honest with you, you saw how much I skim read it. I just was looking over it myself, and I don't know any more than what I've just said. But thank you for that. Super chat there as well. From Peter. Peter said he couldn't work out the audio. Was going to talk about Milton Freeman and Naomi Klein's The Shock Doctrine and what I see from the government that parallels that. That's from Peter, and thank you for the super chat. And from 99 Scariot, join your union, people. Hey, answer me this, Chewy. Answer me this, because I don't know if you may not have experienced this before. This is something that happens when you're doing broadcasting. How do you personally feel hearing from someone who said, I listened to you, Chewy, and I joined a union because of what you said? How does that feel?
I feel powerful.
But it's pretty cool, eh?
No, it is really nice. Look, there was also another chat, I think Gary was saying it, that the generation of young work, I'm paraphrasing Gary, the generation of workers that we've got, like in those entry level low paying jobs and that sort of thing, may be too young to remember what it was like for workers pre-1991, where unions were a lot more powerful. Now, the right wing will remind us that the strikes were everywhere and the unions were bad. And that's why we had to get rid of them and crack down on them and bring in collective bargaining and all of that sort of stuff. But the reason that they were striking was because the workers were getting absolutely squeezed.
Yeah.
So now the workers are going to get absolutely squeezed now. So for me, the answer is join a union. And sometimes for some workers, you might have to do that in secret. You might have to have little conversations with your workmates, because some employers might not realize what their obligations are, might see you as a rebel rouser and try and get rid of you, that sort of thing. And that's something that the union would protect you against. Unions don't often sign people up just the one person in the one workplace. They want to sign up the entire workplace. I'm lucky. I'm in an industry and a company where I don't fear for my employment or my conditions or anything like that. I am still going to join a union, and have been quite open and honest with my management team about that. And they're supportive of it, because they know it's not me attacking the company or anything like that. It's more solidarity for the people that are in similar jobs to mine that don't have that certainty.
Yeah, gotcha.
I know that there's a lot of places, there's industries that desperately need unions, and I'm talking about the care workers that have been fighting tooth and nail for fair pay agreements for quite a while now. I'm thinking of the guys, so the early childhood teachers and that sort of thing, when they're asking for closer pay parity to other forms of teaching. You know, there is more expectation now on early childhood teachers because you don't get the single worker families anymore. You get both parents working, and there's so much weight put on early childhood to get them ready for primary school. Traditionally, that was one of the parents' jobs. You know, these things need to adapt, and I think when we have a government that is clearly so focused on listening to what business wants and so disinterested in listening to what the workers, the wage earners want and need, then you need to join together to tip the scale back a bit, even if it's just evening the scales. But that's the only way that individually will get power is that's by working together.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a big focus on unions for a long time now, but if you're working in an industry, there will be a union to support you.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I sometimes think about contracts, like just a contract for your job. The best kind of contracts are the ones that you sign, they go in the bottom drawer and you never pull them out. Like they never come out again, meaning you haven't needed to pull them out again. I feel a bit the same about unions. The best scenario is that you join a union and you never actually have to call on them, but they're an insurance policy on some level. And when you need them, just call out my name and I'll be there. Is that the song?
I've been in jobs where I've realized that union support would have been really helpful just way too late.
Yeah.
Like there's no point in thinking about your union when you're going into a disciplinary situation or they're disestablishing your job. It's too late. You've got to get in when things aren't at that stage. But if someone comes at you with a wrongful dismissal and you can call up a team of union lawyers to come in and absolutely clap ass on your behalf, that's when the value kicks in.
100%. No, very good. Very, very, very good points, Chewy, and thank you for sharing them. I would like to share with you something that's happened during the show tonight. This is our Patreon, and you can visit it by going to patreon.com/Big Hairy News. We've had Ruby join up to be a $15 patron. This is the level here, which is the most popular level. That's called the patron level. Then you've got the super patron level. Then you've got the producer level. You've got the senior producer. We've had someone join up tonight to the executive producer level. The executive producer is a very generous level, and there is some benefits that come with it that don't hit any of the other levels as well. So thank you to the Meow Collective, our first executive producers who have just signed up to be a part of BHN and help what we do. Maybe, Chewy, we're just saying, I think when you were off, that we have to look at buying you a new computer. There might be something that has to come out of the budget.
I have a good computer. It never crashes unless I'm doing this fucking show. And I've run so many diagnostics on what's causing it, and I cannot find it. It's something to do with Bluetooth, and it makes no sense.
Then maybe you should start using those Bluetooth headphones. I'll give you some of my AKGs that you can plug in.
But they're really fucking good. I've got nowhere to plug them in because all it is USB ports.
All right. So Meow Collective, very generous. Thank you for being our first ever executive producer. I have no idea how I'm going to draw up the fucking billboard now, because what I normally do is I double it each time. So like the $5 level, the font then doubles to the next one, then doubles to the next one. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, guys, but it's a good problem to have, and it's an incredibly generous offer.
Pat,
so thank you very much to the Meow Collective.
Pat,
yes.
I can solve this.
Yes, how's that?
I've got a solution. Star Wars crawl.
Up the side, which side? Like here?
Yeah, no, like right up the middle, yellow text, all of our patrons. There you go. There's a project for our break.
All right. Yeah, I'll get onto it. I use USB port headphones with Mick for work. Well, I think that probably says Mike. He's not being racist against my Irish people by calling him a Mick. Yeah, there you go. USB headphones with it for your Mick for work. There you go. That could work. All right, guys. If you're a patron, a paid patron, then there is a meetup on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. All of you have already had the invite. For people who have joined up since this afternoon, you will get an email probably in the next 24 hours with the link if you want to join up. And other than that, I feel like we're kind of done here too. You know what I want to do one more time? because it's like, you know, this true. When you make good content, you just want to use that good content over and over again. I just want to play my little compilation one more time. I'm sure you're okay with that. Are you okay with that, or are you not going to let me? And let's send out some good vibes as well.
That level of control.
I want to send out some good vibes as well to Kelvin Morgan. He's come down with another bout of COVID, and I saw a tweet of his the other day, and it basically said 10 times worse. 10 times worse this bout than it was first time around. So I would just also, maybe it's a good time to probably put out there to you guys as well. It's still out there. I know when I'm going to the shops now, I'm a bit more careful. I'm not masking, I'll be honest with you. But like I had an opportunity. I went to the hospital to see someone the other day, and I took the stairs rather than going up in the elevator with 9 people. Now, the reason I didn't want to go up in the elevator with 9 people was just because he's a bit of a splurge at the moment. And there's a new variant coming from Europe, J something or other. So just putting it out there. No one wants to lose their Christmas day from taking a risk. You don't have to. Just putting it out there because people are getting it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm ducking sickness now because if it takes me out of my fucking holiday, I'm going to be furious.
Yeah, for sure. All right. One more time, eh? One more time. Let's have a look at these National Party talking points.
Every dollar you spend on that is a dollar you can't spend on schools, hospitals, roads, and everything else. So it is a tough decision.
Because every dollar we spend on redeveloping ports and terminals and boats in excess of what's required is a dollar we can't spend on schools, on hospitals, on the roads across the country.
You see what I mean by the kind of the breathy? I'm trying to look like I'm thinking of this right here. And what about roads? I mean, I'm just thinking it off the top of the dome. Roads could be included in hospitals. They just don't sell it. And I honestly, I'm not just picking on them because, you know, it's not where I sit politically, but the right do it far worse than the left. I'm just being honest with you.
That need replacing.
Frankly, we were buying a Ferrari solution when, you know, sometimes the old secondhand Toyota Corolla does the job, you know, those old reliables. So that's more what we're going for. They're going for the sensible option rather.
Even the word reliable is part of the talking points. Secondhand Corolla, reliable Ferrari. That's the talking point.
Than the gold-plated option.
The Ferrari is not the only car in the garage. I know that the big ship solution that they came up with was their preference, but I think it's time we had a look and see if there's a Toyota Corolla, good reliable one, that might be able to do the job, or maybe some second-hand Teslas.
Rusted out door sills.
Well,
stereo doesn't work.
The good thing is, if they get second-hand Teslas with a Z, as she said it, I mean, Mr. Luxon's already understands how to get that rebate back. I'm sure they'll buy them before December 31st, and then they'll be able to claim on them as well because, you know, get them in there, then pull up the ladder after you've bought them.
My biggest issue with Nicola Willis there is how she says car.
Nah. I would have Tesla with a Z.
Tesla. I mean, is she committing to fully electric ferries? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, isn't it? All right, team, we're done. We'll see some of you on Sunday morning. For the rest of you, you will see us if you follow us on Twitter and YouTube, because there'll be some links and clips and stuff coming up over the next couple of days. Also, follow us on Apple Podcast. There are always clips coming out on there as well. Have a great weekend. Get all your shopping done. I'm assuming we'll probably have no one come and see us on Saturday morning because you'll all be out Christmas shopping. But for those of you like us who avoid the malls and weekends, rather go during the week, we might see you 11 o'clock Saturday morning. But if we don't, we'll catch you all next Monday. Kieran McAnulty is going to be joining us Monday, unless something happens, and he's obviously a MP and he gets called out, but he's confirmed he'll be with us 9 o'clock on Monday morning while Chewy's off drinking eggnog with his workmates. We'll have Kieran here talking about the week. Don't be disgusting. Don't be disgusting. And we'll have an opportunity for you to ask questions and stuff as well when we get Kieran in. And I'll work over the next couple of days more on getting some of our other favourites in. And we'll see how we go. All right, team. You're beautiful. Have a great weekend. Be safe. We'll see you all back here on Monday night at 9 p.m. for the last week for the year of BHN, the last live week for the year. Remember, the weeks we're not going to be here, there are going to be BHNs every single night. There's going to be highlights packages. But the last live show will be Thursday night. And unless there's another Twin Towers on Friday, then we might pop back in on Friday night. But in theory, the last show on Thursday of next week for this year. All be safe over the weekend. Come back on Monday, bring a friend. And until we see you then, I will say hooroo to you.
Cheers, fam. Mā te wā.